is up? What is up?
Well, hello, sir.
Hey, 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 hey.
Hey, hey, hey.
How are
What's the noise in
you?
the background? Why I hear noise?
It ain't me.
It is you.
It ain't me.
I didn't hear it before we
I didn't
went
hear it.
live.
Like you just not saying what's that noise in the background? Like I don't know. There ain't nobody in the sixth dungeon, so I don't know.
You need me to fly up there and crawl up in this good sex dungeon of yours? Don't tempt me with a good time.
I say the same again.
You gonna fly down here? Cause I got a whole extra room. That got a whole setup.
You got a hole, so any hole is the goal.
Oh,
What's up with it?
you already said, hey, Atlanta Hartsfield runs all night long. All night long. And so do I. Call me Atlanta Hartsfield. Actually, don't call. I told y'all, this back here is not Atlanta Hartsfield. Everybody ain't up in there. This is the pearly gates. Because when you enter there, you enter heaven. Praise God. You over here being all nasty on Al Gore's good internet, and we supposed to be talking about politics.
Well,
I
politics is
mean,
nasty. You act like
I
people
mean,
don't
they
sleep
are
their way
pretty
into
nasty. We do
getting a
know that
little
there's
election campaign funding.
I mean, there is a whole Republican Party sex party that goes on once a week down to
Mm,
the Washington
Allegedly,
D.C.
I don't know nothing about that. I don't know
Allegedly,
nothing about that.
allegedly,
I'm not a Republican, so I wouldn't know how they get down.
child. Anyway, how has your week been so far? I ain't seen you in a whole 7 days. How
Oof.
you been?
So I'm doing well. Last week was a lot. Last week was a lot. I'm not used to putting in them kind of hours. You know what I'm saying? That's foreign to me. I was like, oh, we salary. What are we doing here? There's no overtime. So I did. I was very sad that I missed out on last week, but I did watch the replay. I did watch the replay.
I do miss the days of being salaried where I could, say, "Oh, I'm getting this good overtime." But yeah,
I mean, you're rich, so you don't have to worry about that. When
I
you're
wish.
making that kind of money, you know,
I mean, the people say I work at Publix. Publix don't make you rich, so
you know who says that, and we know that social media is the opposite of how society works. When we were in school, we were separated, okay, based on our intellectual reasoning abilities, and then
separate
they
what
just
we
put us
want
all on
to
the internet.
do. Separate what we got to do. Separate.
We know some of these people that be saying that are pushing this public's rhetoric.
Listen,
Um,
these people
they used
whose
to get a check.
IQ, these south of 50 IQ score people,
We know they used to get a check. I mean, I
mm,
don't even know
used
why we
to,
tripping.
used to. Some of them still do.
Their mama was using it to buy crab legs and steaks.
Don't pick at people who go buy crab legs. 'Cause I go buy crab legs.
But you buy crab legs with your money, not with
I do
the
buy it
money
with my
you
own
get.
money. Sometimes the people help me out on my channel, but I do buy it with my own money though. Speaking of which, I want some crab legs, but it's too late.
It's never too late for crab legs. The way
It's
I'm finna
nowhere
encourage all
open.
of your BS, how I've been on one all day today.
It's it's
Get
it's nowhere
yourself.
open this time of night. It's
Baby,
after
legs is
9 o'clock.
always open.
Say that again.
Legs is always open.
I don't want them kind of crabs. Them the bad crabs. I'm just saying. Anyway, speaking of government assistance, let's give you a rundown of what we're going to talk about today. We have a great episode for you all today. This is episode 10 of Red, Blue, and Black. I am L Teddy 27. That gentleman over there is none other than the one that y'all come to see, Kamz. He's the cute one that y'all come to see all the time. I'm just the brains over here, and that's the cute one y'all come to see all the
Nobody
time.
comes to see me.
Mm,
Ain't nobody came to see me. I'm Otis.
right. Anyway, on today's episode, we're gonna talk about a lot of stuff. We're gonna talk about FEMA. We're gonna and some misinformation out there. We're gonna talk about Hurricane Milton, of course, and the whole girl fight that's going on with Hurricane Milton. It's a whole girl fight going on over there. We're of course going to update you on one of these Senate races that has unexpectedly gotten close. I didn't like to see that. Going to talk about some two different groups that have decided that they would not be endorsing the Kamala Harris, nor will they be endorsing Donald Trump. But we thought that they would endorse Kamala Harris, and they are not. And talk about what that means. And finally, we'll talk about the great state of Texas. I'm sorry, they like to call it the country of Texas, governed by Governor Hot Wheels and all of their antics and what they got going on over there. So we
Right.
got a lot to talk about over here, a lot to talk about. And since you started talking about people using government assistance and government monies nefariously, let's start there, sir. I'll let you break the ice and enter the dossier as we talk about FEMA and some information that people are getting wrong about FEMA. Talk to the people. Talk to the people.
All right. So we're in the height of what I would call hurricane season right now. A lot of people
Technically,
are
not the height, but we're in
okay.
hurricane
The fact that
season.
we got two back to back, this is the height.
Oh well, then there's that.
Okay. You know. So there is a Florida Republican
Mm,
talking out of both sides of her neck,
mm,
Representative Luna. where she tweeted at the VP. We have a Category 5 hurricane that's headed right toward Florida, and Kamala Harris has taken this time to attack Governor DeSantis. Cut the crap. We need FEMA dollars, freed up all assets. Stop attacking Ron and do your job. Was the tweet that she sent out. But she is, an ally of former President, convicted felon Donald Trump. And she was one of 100 lawmakers that voted against a stopgap bill that would have replenished FEMA's disaster fund. I just want to make that clear. So she's been getting called out amongst some other representative from Florida that did not vote for it. But then you are on Twitter, you're on these social media circuits complaining that y'all aren't getting the help that y'all need, that you didn't vote for. And we all know that because we've taken civics, Congress controls the purse strings. Like
I don't know why you think these people paid attention in civics class. These are the same people who think that Trump gave them a stimulus check. So I don't know why you would think that these people, not the people in our chat, but some of these people that believe this mess.
And it's just like, the trash non-speaker of the House refuses to reconvene Congress. He was like, well, we already authorized the 20 billion. I was like, that was a stopgap resolution, so we didn't shut down. The 20 billion is not going to be enough. Like not two big hurricanes back to back. Like, especially as we still have communities in, North Carolina, South Carolina that are still isolated, that still need to get help because the infrastructure is clearly gone. So how do we even get to them? The 20 billion is not going to be enough. So them pointing to that while like they're on a paid vacation, it really shows you that Republicans are like, government doesn't work, and let me show you why. Like I don't understand the insanity to play political games when people's lives are at risk. That's just me. I mean, the humanitarian in me is like, hey, we got this money, and then they're doing this thing where they're pointing, well, we can give Lebanon money. That's an entirely separate budget. Like, and we all know that defense budget and that contingency budget, it's a black card. There are no limits. If they want to give money here, there, a couple of billions, it's nothing. But our own people here are not going to get the help that they need because that FEMA money it's gonna be gone. Let's be real. That 20 billion, it's gonna be gone. Just the destruction from the last hurricane, like the fact that I have a friend right now that was stuck in Orlando. They literally had to hop in a lift to evacuate because there were no rental cars.
I want to show a map, and what this map is showing. This map right here, if you can see it, this map shows the distribution of FEMA funds across the great all of the United States, from and you can click on a state and see how much they've received, but you have states that have not received anything in gray, and then you have states that have received nominal funds, Wyoming 1.3 million roughly, Oregon 41 million. But then you have states that starts to go up. California 302 million, and we have Illinois 391 million. Michigan got 607 million, and then Texas 2.17 billion. I'm sorry, 2 trillion. Is that trillion? No, that's billion. I'm sorry. Don't get me to lie. $2 billion with a B. You have Louisiana, more than Texas got 2.17 billion. Louisiana got 2.5 $2.4 billion
Mm.
from FEMA. And Florida has the most with $2.5 billion with the B. So I just wanted to put into perspective what is being allocated around this country with regard to FEMA, so people had an idea. You can go ahead and continue. I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted
No,
to
you
show
didn't cut
that
me off.
map.
I think you added some very much needed context and nuance to this conversation, right? Because we always need that. We always need to back our commentary with facts, receipts. But some of the lawmakers that are from the states that got hardest hit by Helene have asked for Congress to come back and do their damn job.
I'm
But
sorry. Let me fact check myself. They have received all of those funds that I listed since the year of our Lord 2015. So in the last 10 years, that's how much they've received since, well, 9 years, since 2015. Let me be factual. I want people to come back and fact check me. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
and with Representative Luna, which this is what really pisses me off. Literally, I'm trying not to cuss. 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 The day
Too late.
before, what is bitch? The day before the goddamn hurricane hit, this bitch voted against the funding. So what the fuck are you talking about? Okay, now that I got that out, it's the utter audacity of these people because they don't operate in fucking reality. But then when your base is ignorant as shit and they're more willing to believe a lie, like this is what you get. Like this is what we get. Like I'm so shocked at how it's just like I put my goddamn hand on an open flame and I look at you. How dare you burn me? Why did you do that to me? It's I can't logically connect the dots because I can't use logic to reason into a situation that people never use logic to begin with. Like it just doesn't make sense.
Well, let me also add. I have to be fair. Um, I'm sorry, the Secretary of Homeland Security, Mayorkas, he didn't help when he came out and said, "Oh," and this was before Hurricane Milton was even formed. Oh, FEMA cannot afford to last through the rest of hurricane season. And then in the next day, here we have Hurricane Milton coming. And so that gave all types of fodder and ammo for the idiots that's going to take what he said and run with it. Um, that's going to take what he said and run with it and just add all types of misinformation on to it. First of all, sir, even if that was the case, that's something you should have went to the 9 o'clock meeting with because you ain't in the 7 o'clock meeting. You're not in the 7 a.m. meeting, Mayorkas. You're in the 9 a.m. meeting, okay? You ain't that important. So when you went to the 9 a.m. meeting, you could have let Biden and Kamala know, hey, I just want to let y'all know this is where we are. If we end up having another, catastrophic hurricane, I don't know that we have the funds. And let them go out there and use all of the machine, the PR machine behind them that can explain it the right way and say all of the things that need to be said. More especially say Congress needs to do their job and fund FEMA. That's what needed to be said. But he didn't do that. Mayorkas was all over the goddamn place. That did not help. That gave the rabid dogs and animals all of the meat they needed to chomp on. Like that was, I thought he was reckless when he did that. I thought that was very reckless for him to do that in the middle of an election season at that.
But can we also I think we also need to talk about this because this is an important fact, right? As people talk about how FEMA has been ineffective in being able to successfully respond to Hurricane Helene, and they're gonna say it about Hurricane Milton as well. Here's the thing, um, we got like we don't have everyone that we need to have from the standpoint of FEMA. Okay, we don't have everybody. We still have people that are in acting positions within FEMA because they can't get confirmed. Like it's and it's like I really don't have beef where we just disagree over things such as how much we allocate to certain things, right? I don't care about that. But when you are operating in bad faith, you don't want the government to function, and you're deliberately playing political games when people's lives are at risk, I take a particular problem with that because you know what you're doing and you're taking advantage of low information voters, most of which, I mean, are going to be the ones that have to take the brunt of your idiotic policy decisions anyway. But it's just insane to me that this is what we're doing right now. If they could do their damn job, pass a fucking budget on time, we wouldn't be in this situation.
Ronald asks, "Does this include money from Helene?" I don't believe that it does. At the information I pull, I'm almost certain it does not include. Now, this is a recent article. Or that information that I pulled is recent. I do not believe I'd almost venture to bet everything that doesn't include Helene because that's still being calculated as we speak. So I very much doubt that. Edarlis said, I'm sorry, Ederlise, I remembered. She said, "Does voting locally help?" These are it's Congress. Congress is the one who holds the purse strings and are supposed to approve a budget and fund government agencies. But let's be clear, we haven't approved a budget in Congress since what, the Clinton years? When's the last time we had a fully functional budget?
Fuck if I know. Every time
I,
I've looked into it, we pass continuing resolutions. Like
right.
we just
I
whatever
think
the
you got to
former
go
year's
back to
funding is, we pass that again.
I think you have to go back almost to the Clinton. I'm almost sure you got to go back to the Clinton years since we had an approved budget.
It might have been during the first Obama administration, actually.
I
But
doubt it. I put money on that. I'm going to say the Clinton years. That's my bet.
how much you put on?
I don't know. I ain't got that much money. I got $2.
But these last $2.
I got you for a good $2 on it.
But I do want to say, to answer the question that Ronald asked, the numbers that I saw last, because FEMA came out as of Sunday and said this. They provided more than $137 million in assistance to 6 states in the Southeast, including 7,000 federal personnel, 15 million meals, 14 million liters of water, 157 generators, and 500,000 tarps. That was as
Now,
Sunday.
here's the thing.
And North Carolina got $100 million in federal transportation funds to rebuild the roads and the bridges that were wiped out by the storm.
Here's the deal. This hurricane could easily cost close to uh, close to $50 billion in damage. That's the low estimates. $50 billion. If you go to some of the people that's trying to beef it up, they're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars. I saw one estimate say it could be upwards of 250 billion dollars, but the lowball estimates say close to $50 billion. 100 and something million is not a drop in the bucket in terms of what's needed. Mind you, we just sent tens of billions of dollars to Israel just last week to help them fight Lebanon. We certainly did. And that was approved by the Biden administration. But we got citizens here dying, well over almost 250 people confirmed dead, hundreds still not accounted for. And yet, y'all can't get money to our own people. But Israel, because y'all want to go over there and cry and all of this stuff and snot bubbles. October 7th, we crying, we snot bubbles because of what happened at the Nova Festival. We don't got no tears for the people in Gaza or whatever. And we damn sure ain't got no energy for the citizens whose taxpayer dollars are actually paying the billions of dollars that y'all are sending over there. Let me shut the fuck up because I might be telling too many truths over here.
I also want to put into context, right?
And no. One more thing before you put that into context. And then, because I have to be fair. Because then you then have even the Biden Harris administration playing politics over here talking about, well, what we can and cannot do. But when anything happens over there to Israel, y'all don't give a damn about Congress. Y'all don't even ask any questions. Y'all go and do whatever the fuck y'all want to do whenever y'all want to do it, when it's important to you. But your citizen, the citizens that you want to vote for you, the citizens that pay taxes and give you the money to do all of that shit. Now, everybody want to point the fingers. Oh, they're not doing what they're supposed to do. Oh, they're not doing what they're supposed to do. Oh, this is the issue here. Oh, this is the issue there. But a natural disaster, an act of God, even when you do contracts with things like hotels or different things, they have clauses that say an act of God, is a situation where you don't have to worry about all of that. We have shit going on over here, and y'all over here playing games. Let me shut up. Go ahead, Kamz, because I'm spiking out.
Oh no, I enjoy these rants. I just feel like we're not putting into context how expensive these damn hurricanes are, right? So Superstorm Sandy back in 2012 caused $82 billion worth of damages. 82 billion. That was in 2012, right? So the piddling ass 20 billion that we passed, not good enough. Hurricane Maria, 2017, that was $107.1 billion in damages. Almost 3,000 people died. We don't want to talk about that because it hit Puerto Rico, and nobody cares about Puerto Ricans apparently, but I mean, it's U.S. territory. Then Hurricane Ian in like 22, was it Hurricane Ian 22? That was $112 billion in damages. 112. Hurricane Harvey, 2017, almost $150 billion worth of damages. Then we still haven't topped damn Katrina yet. That was $186 billion.
Well, there's
with a B. What the fuck is 20 billion gonna do? Because the hurricanes are getting worse and worse.
Top estimates are saying that it could be 250 billion. But here's the other thing. With what you're saying, Kamz, even with if Florida said since 2015, Florida has gotten $2.5 billion, that's fucking piss poor when you think of the actual amount of storms that have come through Florida, Louisiana, and Texas over the last few years. And you mean to tell me, even if I add all three of those up, Texas had I'm gonna round that up to 2.2 billion. Louisiana had 2.4 billion, so that's what 4.6 billion, and Florida had 2.5, so that's what $7.1 billion, right? That pales in comparison to the hundreds of $billions that they have given to foreign countries for God knows what, for all types of shit that don't involve us. And when you're talking about the fact that we have these hundreds of billions of dollars to give away to other countries, but don't have that amount of money locked and loaded and ready to go, put away to give to the citizens of this country to say, y'all just had a natural disaster that was of no fault of your own, that you could not control. But you know what? As a federal government, we care about our own people and we got money. So let us go ahead and take care of this now.
I
That
think
just makes way too much fucking sense.
that would be a functioning government. That would be not having sociopaths, because that's the only thing I can think of. And I'm not trying to like demonize people, but when you're playing political games, okay, with your own constituents, these aren't people that are voting for the other party. These are the people that are your base. You are choosing to do nothing. You are choosing to sit back through your inaction, and it could cause a loss of human life. If
Well,
that's not a sociopath, I don't know what it is.
well, since we're talking about the political games and hurricanes, let's get to Hurricane Milton that's coming. Let me read this because ain't nobody hands clean on this shit. Everybody is with the fuck shit on this. Because everybody gonna get something from me today. I don't give a damn who you are. Everybody's getting something from me today. Like who was that? You said, like Yana said, we walking heavy tonight. Fuck this shit. Everybody's gonna get something from me tonight. So since we're here, let's go ahead and do this. Let me read this, Kamz, and I'll let you respond after I'm done reading. Vice President Harris and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis are trading barbs on Hurricane Milton as Hurricane Milton bears down on the Sunshine State as election year politics looms over the response to severe weather that has hammered swaths of the East Coast. Vice President Harris called Governor DeSantis selfish Monday amid reports the governor refused to take her call after Hurricane Helene hit his state. The governor, a chief foil of the Biden administration, hit back Tuesday, suggesting the vice president was, quote, trying to parachute in, end of quote, because she's the Democratic candidate for the White House. The feud between the two leaders comes as former President Trump has repeatedly attacked the Biden administration's response to Hurricane Helene, and as the White House and some Republican officials have had to bat down and clarify misinformation coming from the former president and his allies about recovery efforts. Quote, one of the sort of challenges we see all the time is the politic, politiciz, politicization of everything. We certainly saw a lot of that with COVID. There have been times when things are politicized, and it's unfortunate because it could cause people to suffer based on that. End of quote. And that's coming from Tim Frazier, Director of Emergency and Disaster Management Program at Georgetown University.
Go
He went
Hoyas.
on to say, quote, there has been an increase in politicization of emergency management. It's always been somewhat present, but I would say in the last 20 years or so, it started to get problematic, end of quote. Vice President Harris has taken a more forward-facing role as the White House assists with the response to Hurricane Helene, which battered Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. She reached out to multiple governors in affected states and last week visited Georgia and North Carolina for an update on recovery effort. The vice president's increased visibility comes as she enters the final month of her campaign against Trump for the White House. Polling has shown a neck and neck race in the battleground states likely to decide the winner in November. DeSantis mentioned the campaign factor during an interview with Fox News on Tuesday, suggesting Harris was attempting to, quote, inject herself, end quote, into the federal response now that she's a candidate. He went on to say, quote, I've worked on these hurricanes under President Trump and President Biden. Neither of them tried to politicize it. She has never called on any of the storms she has never called on any of the storms we've had since she's been vice president until apparently now, while all of a sudden she is trying to parachute in and inject herself when she's never shown any interest in the past. We know it's because of politics. We know it's because of her campaign. End of quote, he said. Vice President Harris, for her part, was asked Monday about reporting that DeSantis was not taking her calls and said, quote, people are in desperate need of support right now and playing political games at this moment in these situations. These are the height of emergency situations. It's utterly irreconcilable, and it is selfish, and it is a political, and it is about political gamemanship instead of doing the job that you took an oath to do, which is to put the people first. End of quote. DeSantis and Biden spoke over the phone on Monday, and the president said he pledged Florida would have whatever it needs from the federal government. Alyssa Farah Griffin, a former Trump White House official turned critic of the former president, said on CNN that it was entirely appropriate for Harris to be reaching out to officials on the ground. Quote, I worked for Vice President Pence, and anytime there was a major natural disaster, he would also be calling governors, members of Congress in the areas that were affected. It's not just the president, end of quote. That's the gist of it. Your thoughts?
Ron DeSantis is such an inherently dislikable person, okay? Because not only did you torpedo your White House ambitions in stunning fashion, might I add, with your short midget ass with them damn lifts that you call boots, but you're still fucking over your citizens. I don't understand like what you get by playing to your base in this way, because refusing that call will not change the federal support that you get. He fucking knows that. But these dumbass people that, you know, are so behind you, because like in every quality index and every sort of objective measure since he's taken over Florida, it's become a worse state. Like he's terrible at his job. But like, okay, you refuse to call, your base eats it up. The federal government's going to send the money, and as things improve, you're going to fucking take credit for it. And then we're like, oh yeah, well, you know, him not taking that call made things better. I don't know how you link those two things, but the base is going to do that. The base is going to do that. But the short of it is, fuck Governor DeSantis. Thank you.
That link you sent me is not working. Maybe I did something
Well,
wrong.
the link was just, he was saying, oh, presidents don't do this. Well, I still remember during Hurricane Maria, the former president was throwing goddamn paper towels.
He was throwing paper towels at people.
What the fuck is that going to do for people? They didn't have electricity for 6+ months after Maria, and you over there throwing paper towels. What the fuck are people going to do with paper towels? Not saying that people don't need paper towels, but there are other higher pressing things that were required from a federal response. But again, we don't care about Puerto Rico because they not white. I'm gonna just say it. We don't care about people that's not white, which would explain
why they don't get statehood and why DC also doesn't get statehood. But that's a whole nother story. Let me. Everybody gonna get something from me. I'm giving something to Ron. I'm
get
giving
some
you
to sleepy ass Joe too.
To Kamala as well.
Get some to sleepy ass Joe.
Now
she don't get nothing from me because what the fuck does the vice president do? That's the only
reason why.
In a
second. That's why she's gonna get some. First of all, Ron. Ron DeSantis, you're a deplorable individual. Ron DeSantis, the one thing that I can say about him, at least he's consistent. Because Ron DeSantis, over the course of his time as governor, has given back over 11 billion with a B dollars of federal funds back to the federal government. Instead of taking these funds, using these funds to help your citizens, you've given them back. Mind you, when you give these funds back to the government, you raggedy ass piece of shit, they go about allocating those funds to other states. The goddamn people in the great state of Florida whose tax dollars add to it. Mind you, Florida is the third largest state in these yet to be United States of America, the
Mhm.
third largest. So they're contributing as a state a great portion of the taxpayer dollars that are being used and allocated. A great portion, more than several states combined. And instead of you saying, let me get these funds and allocate them and use them so that my citizens can do better, fuck bitch ass Ron DeSantis decides, oh, I'm not taking federal funds because I'm not going to be required to be, to bend the knee to the federal government and have to allocate them or do right by my people. Right? The other horrible part about it is, as well, Florida is one of the few states that don't have a state income tax. There is no state income tax in Florida. So most of that money that they take is coming from, local municipalities have to take it from the millage that they get from property taxes and things like that. They have to do sales taxes and other things, but there's no state income tax here. And so now you got the fuck shit where you have people suffering in your state because you want to be an asshole. Now let me talk to you, Kamala. Come in for a second, Kamala.
Bring me
If
up.
if I am to believe what Ron DeSantis said, now let's be clear. We know these people lie. We know these people lie their ass off. If I am to believe what he says, and he says that you have not called him not one time for any previous election. I mean, not election, for any previous hurricane that they have had at any point during the last 3.5 years of the time you've been vice president. That is deplorable. I don't know that I believe that, but if that is the case, that is horrible, Kamala. Even if it's not the case, and he's politicizing this and deciding not to take your phone call. When they shoved the microphone in your face, you didn't have to politicize this, because I think you further politicized it, Kamala. When they asked you, well, we're hearing that Vice President, that Governor DeSantis is taking your phone call. The concern should not be for me right now. The concern should be for the people in the great state of Florida. Me and the governor of Florida, we will have a conversation. But our concern is for the people who are now faced with a Category 5 hurricane that is about to come their way. And we know that they will have the full strength of the American government and all that we can do from the federal government to support them. That is what I believe. That is what President Biden believes. So whether or not I get a chance to talk to, I have already, or ever get a chance to talk to Governor DeSantis, the federal government is here to support the citizens of this country. That's where you go. You don't even have to politicize it. We know he ain't shit. You could have took the high road right there. You're
No.
not running against you're not running against Ron DeSantis. You're not. You're not. And well, here's what happened. Here's where you fuck up. See, if you want to think politics, you got to think long term, Kamala. You have a very close Senate race in the great state of Florida right now. You going back and forward with Ron DeSantis and y'all having these jabs while people in the middle of a hurricane talk about, you ain't never called me before. You might not have called. That doesn't help you. That doesn't help the down ballot people here in Florida. You don't got to get into that stupid ass shit, Kamala. Now that shit don't make no sense. That's why I'm mad with her. You didn't have to fall from the bait. The people put the microphone in your face. They knew you was gonna take the bait. And what did you, just like you baited Donald Trump in the debate? They just baited you when they asked you, well, we heard Ron DeSantis isn't answering your phone calls. That wasn't the time for that. People are about to, be underwater. Bad move, Kamala. Now, Joseph Robinette, where are you on this? Because I would have been on every television screen.
You know he
No,
damn
man.
sleep.
I would have been on every television screen from here to heaven saying,
Ask him for
listen,
Joe Biden
we
next.
understand that our country is enthralled in, rescue missions and recovery from Helene. We also know that the citizens of Florida are looking down at the eye of a Category 5 storm. We, as a federal government, are here for all of our citizens, be they in Florida, North Carolina, Washington, wherever. And when a natural disaster happens, your president and your federal government is here for you. I spoke with Governor DeSantis this morning. He knows that he has the full throated support of the federal government and went from there. But you ain't doing that. This is the fuck shit that I be talking about. I'm not even working in the White House. Who the fuck is advising these people? Let me take a drink.
Go on, take one, because I'm still on one. I see the perspective that you're coming from, and I guess that you're looking at it from the optics perspective, right? Because I didn't even think about. Well, I know how the fuck the process works, but you're looking at it from the perspective that these people don't know what the fuck is going on. They know this shit is coming. Like, what do we do? Like, the federal government is not. They're not saying what needs to be said, and then it's just like, oh my god, like we've been abandoned. Like people are immediately going to jump to that. Oh, Mayorkas is saying we running out of money, so they don't give a fuck about us. Well, they don't give a fuck about you, to be honest. But I also want to point out that when Governor Death Sentence was in the House, he voted against Superstorm Sandy relief. He
He
voted against
did.
that. He voted
Absolutely
against that.
did.
He voted
Marco
against
Rubio votes against hurricane relief bills as well,
that.
all the time. Sitting senator from the great state of Florida.
And it's just like, fuck you, I got mine. And I just don't think that that's the right attitude to have, especially with we know that there's some economic pressures on Floridians anyway with like this damn insurance shit where people cannot afford their homeowners insurance. Like, and to be frank, what you get from FEMA is not enough to make you whole. It's not enough to make you whole.
And so what ends up happening is even people who may have been middle class, upper middle class, when something like this happens, I talked about this yesterday on the channel. When catastrophic hurricanes happen in Florida, here's what happens. Every insurance company, from the big, mid-size to the small, all say simultaneously, we don't have the money to cover all of this. The federal government or the state government has to step in. They institute some state backed or federal government backed insurance, whatever, which covers minimal everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're not rich enough to rebuild on your own, you're left at a loss. And you're not going to get what you paid for in insurance. You're not going to get the full claim. You're then going to be at a loss because you still have, it's not like your mortgage is going away. It's not. I got a news flash for you. And so then you either have to go into more debt, getting another loan or something to help you rebuild or get back to, level footing, or you're forever in debt. And so people who once were doing okay now could end up drowning in debt and slip from being middle class, upper middle class to now being in poverty.
And to that point, I really want to say this. Let's throw some facts in there, right? Florida homeowners pay the most for insurance, hands down, with the average annual rate being $10,996 in 23, right? That's increased to like go up even more. They're saying it could exceed 12,000 a year.
Trust
Six
me, I
of
know
the
I have a home
10,
in Florida.
6 of the 10 most expensive cities in the U.S. for homeowners insurance are in Florida. 60% of homeowners do not carry flood insurance. And 13% erroneously believe that their policy covers it because people don't
It
what?
does
They don't
not.
fucking read.
Your policy only covers wind. Your homeowner's insurance only covers the wind. If you get any type of water damage from storm surge, that goes under flood insurance. You are not covered, and storm surge will do way more damage than wind will. Because if you buy a newer home, they make a lot of the newer homes where the roofs are built with better technology, so
Mhm.
your roof will survive. And if you got some money, you can buy windows that you don't even have to put shutters up for, because they can survive up to about 140 mile per hour winds, um, and things like that. But the catastrophic part is the storm surge. There is nothing they can do about that. And that's where you have to have the extra insurance, and most people do not. Trust me, I know insurance is a whole situation. People talk about mortgage and taxes. No, in Florida, it's the homeowners insurance and the other insurances that you got to have.
And it's just like people don't realize that insurance is a risk pool. When an insurance company is paying out more than it's getting back, they're going to leave the state. That is what happened to Florida. Like, it's getting too many issues with hurricanes. Like, they're just like, nope, it's too much to pay out. We're done. And even what was it? Citizens property insurance.
Mm-hmm.
That shit is insolvent. It's not gonna do a damn thing.
That was the government funded insurance that happened after all of the insurance companies left. But here's the deal. That's why I started off talking about, like I was starting. For all of these hundreds of billions of dollars that y'all are sending overseas for the military industrial complex and to fund wars everywhere, you can't seem to find enough money to fund a worthwhile federal insurance program that could actually possibly pay to rebuild all of these people's homes. But that makes way too much sense. And for all of this talking, I ain't heard a goddamn politician, red or blue or anything in between, talk about that kind of shit. See, they can't get me to go up to these town halls and ask questions. Them the questions that I want to talk about. Y'all talk about universal health care. How about universal homeowners fucking insurance for some of these people who live in states like Florida, Louisiana, Texas, Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina?
Let
How
me inter-
about earthquake insurance for people who live over there on the West Coast?
fuck Alabama, and that's my home state. I just want to say that.
Oh, well.
The motherfuckers deserve what they get. Y'all keep voting for these ignorant ass, slack jawed yokels, these fucking cousin fucking hillbillies. You get what you deserve, especially with Governor Mima and that hard ass tongue that she has, because we all know she's a lesbian. I just want to throw that in there. Thank you.
I just want to say that at least a third of the population of Alabama that are descended from the Caucasus Mountains can probably trace their lineage through her. I'm just saying.
I hate my damn say so much. Like, I'm sorry. Like, every time I hear about their ass, I just get upset. I just get upset because it's like at a certain point, what insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Why the fuck?
I'm sorry. I don't know how I pressed that button. I apologize. I
Now you
pressed
fine.
mute.
Like, it's just we continue to vote for people that don't have our best interests in mind, and then we're mad at the federal government. But it's like your local people are failing you. Your local people, because whenever there is something that needs a federal response, they open up the pocketbook. I will say that they need to do it preemptively, but they open up the pocketbook. And it's like, if we planned, if we coordinated, if the states would coordinate with the federal government, versus playing this pissing match game, we could really take care of our citizens. But again, we don't give a fuck about our citizens. We don't care. We don't care. I don't know how we fix this because it's like a group project. I did my part, but there's so many people in other parts of the country that are not doing their part. They're not vetting the candidates well enough before they go into that ballot box, and they're not holding them accountable because you could fact check the fuck out of these people. I fact checked my representative. He's trash. I'm so glad he's not rerunning. Like I've been banned, on Twitter for going at his ass a couple of times.
Going at who?
He ran against Sleepy Joe. I don't even remember his name. He just looked like a used car salesman. I don't like his ass. But anyway, you have to check people, and people aren't being checked. Like, when did we stop checking people? Then I thought that it was going to get better after they, had that softball, game, and man came up there and tried to, do his thing with, his Second Amendment rights. I thought that we were going to get better. I thought that maybe people had woken up and they're like, we can't upset these people too much in America because eventually somebody going to snap. But I just feel like people are so insulated because they feel like they have power. They've been in Congress for God knows how goddamn long. They've been there since forever doing nothing. Because I don't understand why we can't reconvene, do a special session for Congress, the House, pass that motherfucking budget. Pass it.
Listen, these people, we can't trust them. We cannot trust these people. We do got to move to the next agenda item. We done been here a whole hour.
Also, I do want to know. This year so far, the U.S. has spent $6.29 trillion in this fiscal year. $6.29 trillion. That's all I got. That's all I got.
Trillion with the TR. Before we get into this next topic, which is this Senate race in the great state of Wisconsin, Kamala was on The View, and there was a very important question that she was asked, because the next few things that we're going to talk about is going to talk about some of the numbers that Kamala is facing that are not so favorable. So she was on The View today. She was asked a question. Let me get this prepared. I know they're going to show me a commercial. Let me mute this while they play this commercial. God of mercy.
You know what?
But while that's going, while that commercial is going on, let me say this. She was asked a very important question. The question was, what would you have done different from President Joe Biden over the last 3-4 years? And here's her answer.
There's Chewy. This was a key question to answer in the interview. Here it is.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
All right, Anna, not a thing comes to mind. Does she need a better answer on that kind of question? Because there are voters
I only
who are
did
looking...
your commentary, Anna. I ain't come for your commentary. I just came for her one answer. And I wanted to put that I just saw your message. Thank you, sir. You gonna get it for me? If you get it for me for free, I'll use it.
I will. They're free. They're free.
Yeah, show me. Give me a good link, and I'll take care of it.
I got you.
You got me.
We see each other.
Thank you, boo. I might fly up there so you can take care of me tonight. Damn.
Keep on. I'm a
keep
young
playing.
buck. I'm a young buck now. I don't know if you can keep up now.
You think so? I don't think you can handle the gates of heaven. I don't think you can handle heaven. I'd hate for you to have to, be done in 5 minutes, 30 seconds. I've done that before.
Never with me.
I've done that to people. Anyway, let's get back to the subject at hand.
Okay.
I wanted to play that before we talked about this next race, and because that's a great segue. I think that's a horrible misstep by
I think
her.
it's a terrible fucking answer.
Like horrible. That's the worst answer that she could have given. That's the worst answer she could
How would you have answered it? Because I know how I would have answered it.
You go first.
Is there anything you would have done differently? I think hindsight is 2020, right? So when we look at the decisions that we made at the time, we operate off of the information that we had at the time. So of course, there's things that we could have done better. Then she could have just came with very particular policies that, maybe people are going to hammer her about, right? So she could have gone that route. She's like, but again, you make the best decision with the information you have at the time. But now that we're on the other side of it, we could have done this better. And I feel like that's not beating up Joe, right? That's not beating up Joe, but it's still acknowledging the fact that, as you get more information, your opinion changes.
I would have definitely started off kind of like you did. I wouldn't have given specifics, but what I would have said was, I hate to go into specifics because you go with what you have at that time. But I can tell you, my first job as vice president is to support the president, give him feedback, give him support, give him advice and guidance. But ultimately, when we walk out of any situation room, war room, or any decision, we go along and we follow the leadership at that time. I can tell you that a Kamala Harris administration isn't going to mirror a Joe Biden administration in the same way no one's administration is going to mirror anyone else's administration, because we're all different and we all may have different approaches to how things have handled. I can tell you, if you go to my website and you look at my policies and the things that I have outlined, you can clearly see there are instances in those times where I may have things that may not, I don't know that I would call them different or contrary to him, but may they further extend or progress something that may have been started by him and go down another way. There are a whole lot of ways to answer that question. Besides, I can't think of any at this time. That doesn't help you at all, ma'am.
It doesn't. But it also I think points to the media. And I think they're a problem because you can't press one candidate who is the vice president, but we have a former president running. And I think that,
because he needs to be asked, what will you do different from your last administration? Because there were several problems in your last administration.
His COVID response was ass.
I'm with you 1,000% on that. However,
and not even good ass, unwashed trash ass. Sorry.
But here's the thing. Here's what we know. No matter what he answers, he's not moving the needle on. His people are his people. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I don't think Donald Trump gains any new base. I think what happens, how it hurts Kamala is one thing for her not to gain new people. It's another thing for her to turn off people and people not show up that likely would have. That's where I think the danger is for her. That you don't necessarily have that danger for Donald John, because he could say whatever and those idiots gonna come out regardless. It doesn't matter what he says, they're gonna turn out regardless. Whereas for Kamala, She stands to have people that do one of two things that could hurt her: either not come out at all, or say, I'm going to completely ignore the top of the ticket and vote on other things down ballot.
Yeah.
And that's a dangerous thing for her. And that segues into the reason that I brought that up before this next situation or this next story. The next story we have to talk about is the fact that the race in Wisconsin with Tammy Baldwin is Senator Tammy Baldwin is getting much closer, whereas she was handsomely in the lead in that race. Now that race is and at one point it was leaning Democrat by most polls, the consensus of most polls. Cook Political Report, which is seen as a source of truth for most prognosticators. If you're into politics prognostications and looking at numbers and polls that are looked at as a source of truth, Cook Political Report is one of the primary sources of truth for a lot of people when they look at the numbers. And they have moved that race from lean Democrat to toss up. And she's running against a Republican, Eric Hovde, however you pronounce his name.
I think that it's so interesting because when we talk about this, right, this is normal. Okay, this is normal. Wisconsin is, I mean, I live in the Midwest. I deal with these Wisconsinites. It is a notorious swing state. President Biden only won the state by 20,000 votes.
Exactly.
Ron Johnson in 2022 won re-election. He's a Republican by a single percentage point.
Which is why I'm going back to bringing up the Harrises. When you're running as a state senator, you sometimes have to remove yourself from the top of the ticket on certain issues. Certain things you got to say, I got to go with what works in my state. For example, look at Sherrod Brown. What did Sherrod Brown tell Harris? I don't need y'all to come here. Let me handle this. Because if y'all come here, that's not going to help me. And I think with Tammy Baldwin, she always gives me, I'm just gonna ride the wave. She won quite handily in 2018 and in
she skated in 2018.
Right.
Skated.
And well, not 28, that was 2016. I'm sorry, 2016. Or was it? No, it was 2018.
It was 2018.
You're right. It was 2018, as well as in 2012. And so she's been lazy in the fact that, oh, I can ride the wave and I'll be good. And I think she thought she was going to do that because of how there was this groundswell of support for Harris at the beginning of her taking the top of the ticket. But now, ma'am, you got to go out there and do some work. You got to talk to the people of Wisconsin because there are things that speak to them that don't speak to others on the Democratic side. For example, we know there's a large movement of the large portion of the uncommitted movement. Remember, it was Michigan, it was Wisconsin, and what other state was it that had a huge number of people that voted uncommitted for Biden because of his stance on Israel Hamas? And I'm not saying that's
people here in Minnesota as well.
In Minnesota, right? So I'm not saying that's the only issue that you may differ from them from, but what I am saying is the fact that you have to run your race for your constituency so you can get elected back there. You sitting back, ma'am, and saying, oh, I'm gonna just rubber step whatever the Biden-Harris administration put out there or the Harris campaign put out there, ma'am, that's the wrong fucking answer.
It's so different because I feel like when people think about the U.S., they think that we're this country with this collective identity, and we're not. Americans are very like individualistic, but to the point, it's like we're 50 countries within one. So things that concern me as a person that lives in Minnesota, they don't have the same sort of concerns as someone that's in Wisconsin, right? Because we do have two separate economies. Our economy is doing better than Wisconsin for a number of reasons, but you have to literally get to what is important to your constituents, not your base, your constituents, because you represent, as a senator, the entire state. You can't just look at, well, my district is good. You have to look at the entire state, and you have to speak to the issues that are important to them, whether or not you think that's real, because people are like, oh, I don't think the economy is doing great. I mean, the numbers can show otherwise, but you know, you have to really engage with people where they're at. But if she does lose, we're looking at like 53 Republican seats in the Senate. So we ain't gonna get shit done. Even if Vice President Harris wins, we ain't gonna get shit done. I mean, and it's like Tester is not looking well
at all. At
but
all.
I will say that debate now, he did do better, but who cares about policy? Policy has not mattered this entire election cycle. It's likability politics. Who do I like? Who gives me, feel goods and vibes?
That is a race I have been looking at. That Nebraska race has gotten much closer. As Nebraska has gotten close, just like Florida and just like Texas have gotten close, where they are winnable. But these are all toss-ups, and that's why I was so angry with Kamala Harris and her answer, because things that she does and says can have irreparable damage down ballot. Like, you can say one thing that piss off a group of people, and now you're costing yourself seats down ballot that you're going to need. And so you know what? Now this is gonna come out harsh, y'all. Hold on, let me take a drink before I say this.
No, just say it. You don't need to take no drink. Just gonna say it.
Tammy Baldwin runs her campaign as a senator, like some Black House members of Congress run their congressional races in mainly majority Black districts where they know they have no competitors. They're just going to go, and as long as they see their name, they know they're going to get voted for. And so it's a lazy politician. These are some of the same people who rarely have any laws of consequence that they pass during the entire tenure of their time in Congress. Like my Congress member, she ain't shit. Let me shut up.
I think it will be a loss, really, for America if Senator Baldwin loses, because I feel like a lot of people don't know. Back in 2012, this was when she was first elected. She was the first openly lesbian woman and the first openly LGBT person to be elected to the United States Senate.
Come on, lesbians.
It was a big deal. Come on, Hard Tone.
It was.
But like,
Absolutely.
It was a huge deal. And she is a leftist. She really is a leftist. She has been a crucial vote for us getting things like infrastructure passed that is helping everyone across the country, because it got us out of the Great Depression. Go build some shit. I mean, I don't know why we just not, go build some fucking roads. Go make a bridge. Like, make a new dam. Do something. Put the people to work. If you feel the economy so bad, go on, get out there. Go on, put your boots on. Pull yourself up by your bootstrap. Go ahead. Go on, get out there and do something. But she's been like a reliable vote for legislation that I feel improves the life of the average American. But she won in a fucking landslide back in 2018. But that just goes to show you that it's just different. Each election cycle has its own sort of subtle nuances, Yeah, Ronald. Very Hard Tone. Yeah. I used to have a pet cat. This time was a little too hard for me. I'm sorry. She had to go. Don't be licking on me. Like, move. I used to have a pet. Like I used to have a pet cat. She was scratching up all my furniture, but the tongue thing just bothered me.
You're supposed to get cats declawed.
That is inhumane.
No, it's not. You only get the front claws taken out.
No,
Only the front, not the back claws.
that's inhumane. No,
It's not.
I thought we was a
It's not.
progressive. Like, oh
They're
my
not
god,
human.
oh my god.
It's not inhumane because they're not human.
Okay, sociopath.
I love cats. I've always had a cat.
See, never declaw cats. That's what I'm talking about.
You're supposed to get them declawed in the front claws. Your veterinarian will tell you that.
No. Absolutely.
Not in the front claws. They are not if they're domesticated. If they stand in the house all day, what the hell they need the front claws for? Except to scratch up your furniture. Now, if they was living on the outside, where they had to be out here and be battle cats and out here, going at the people, then they need their claws to fight with. But they're in the house all day. Cats don't go nowhere. I have 2 licensed veterinarians in my family and about 4 or 5 veterinary assistants in my family. I'm telling you what I know. You know what? I ain't gonna talk to y'all. I just talk to the people who work in the field and who have degrees. You get the front claws removed. The back claws they keep.
I
Here
mean,
y'all go.
you can also do like the nail caps. That work.
They don't need to defend themselves if they stay in the house all day. Who are they fighting? Who?
When you stay ready, you ain't got to get
never
ready.
Go outside. My cats never go outside. Ever. And they're very happy not going outside. I opened the door. I remember one time, one of my cats, Noah, we went to the back door. I opened the door. I went outside. I was like, come on, Noah. You know what Noah did? Noah looked at me. He peeked his head outside. Baby, he went his ass back inside. Girl, I ain't got this type of time. Girl, I'm going back and lay my ass back down. I did it again. I did it several times. Every time he'll walk up to that door, look outside. I'll leave the door open for him. Baby, the way he used to come back inside, girl, I ain't here for this fuck shit. Girl, let me go lay my ass back down and not be the fuck bothered. Trimming the nails is just as bad as declawing them. Trimming the nails is just as bad as declawing them. Because if you trim the nails, then that takes away the whole purpose of the freaking claw. You know what? I'm not doing this with y'all. I talk to the people who are licensed, who have degrees in this stuff. I just didn't make this up. Ugh.
I just feel like there's no consensus on it, El Teddy, and we can move on to the next topic.
And I am a cat lover. I will fight y'all about my cats.
You a cat lover, but you gay? You don't like pussy that much. Anyway.
No, I don't like cooter. Let's be clear. It's the cooter. And
have
cute.
you tried it before?
I have.
I had a good time.
It was overrated.
I had a good time over there in the Lady Pond. It's a great experience for me.
Anyway. But yes, that's what we got going on in that race. And then we got 2 groups that have decided they're not going to openly endorse Kamala. The first being the Uncommitted National Movement. We saw that coming.
I don't care about them folks.
You should.
I don't care about them folks.
Because that could cost
No,
you.
I don't care about them folks. You know why I don't care about them folks? I'm gonna tell you exactly why I don't care about them folks.
Because they're gonna fall in line anyway.
No, because they need to realize it's first past the fucking post. First past the post. So you doing this? I don't want to support her. I'm not finna, do X, Y, and Z. Do. What is your alternative? It's just like these people that are delusional Jill Stein supporters. What does she do when she's not running for president? Not a damn thing. But you have to realize VP Harris is the best you can get. Because Trump already done told you what his foreign policy gonna be. He done already told you. If you think Joe Biden is giving full-throated support, it's gonna be some deep throating. If Trump get back in that office, like we might as well kiss Palestine, game goodbye.
Well, the uncommitted is on record saying that they do acknowledge that a Trump presidency would be the worst case scenario. They are on record saying that, sir.
Yeah, but shut the fuck up. That's what
No,
I'm shut the fuck up.
no. Now, I never agree with that. You cannot tell me that, oh, I gotta shut the fuck up and just deal with the fact that they don't speak to the points that I care about. They're on the wrong side of the point that I care about, and I'm just supposed to sit there and just shut the fuck up and never have my issues addressed. Because if they're not addressing it now, they damn sure ain't gonna address it while they're in the seat. And if I never let my voice be heard, then why the fuck are we here? Now I believe that,
and I'll tell you why I say this. I'll tell you why I say this, because I'm in the political circles in Minnesota, right? I am in the fucking political circles in Minnesota. I'm gonna tell you exactly why I say this shit. Because this uncommitted movement, you don't give a fuck about black people. One, you don't give a fuck about gay people. So if your needs aren't being met, that's all you give a shit about. But oppression elsewhere, it's fine with you. It's fine. So shut the fuck up. That's how I feel. Fuck them people. Now, do I care about the Palestinians? Absolutely. But this uncommitted movement is bullshit. And I've been on record saying that we need a two-state solution. I was two-state solution back in high school. Early 2000s, I've been saying we need a two-state solution because I did not like how the foreign policy was. We can't continue.
But that doesn't negate. But here's the deal, though. That doesn't negate the fact that they are wrong on this. Even if I'm not with the uncommitted movement, even if I say fuck the uncommitted movement, these bastards are on the wrong side of this. So the uncommitted movement notwithstanding, the policy is wrong because y'all are spending my tax dollars in a manner to which I don't think it needs to be spent. And that has nothing to do with the uncommitted movement. Everything to do with you're on the wrong side of history with this.
I think the reason I take such umbrage with it, to be quite frank, is I cannot stand a single issue voter. I cannot fucking stand a single issue voter. There's so many more things other than Israel and Palestine. And to be quite frank, yeah, it's bad, but shit, there are genocides happening everywhere around the world right now. We don't talk about them. I don't like the selective outrage that we have.
We aren't talking about Congo. We aren't talking about Sudan. There's a lot of places that we could be talking about.
We're also not talking about like why we have the migrant crisis, quote unquote. Why the border crossings? Oh my God! We really destabilized entire regions of the world.
And now we're getting our comeuppance.
We've done that. Like, and I say this as a military vet, right? I've seen firsthand what war zones are like. I get it. I definitely get it. Like, I don't want people to be in armed conflict, especially with like all of these drones and stuff, but people have to realize proxy wars have been a thing. Proxy wars have been a thing. Well, and I think the angle that people don't realize.
Here's the thing. What we also need to understand as a country is, as a country, we are intimately involved in most of the shit going on all over the goddamn place. But then we want to turn our nose up or look away blindly like we don't have nothing to do with it when we are intimately involved, many times covertly, but intimately involved. And so we can't, what's going on in our border, because people are trying to save their lives. Do you know how involved we are with everything that has happened in South America and Central America? Do you know how influential we were in some of the horrible, horrible things going on just on this hemisphere? I'm not going to even take it on the other side of the world. I'm just going to stay in this hemisphere. And so my point is, we can't, I can't turn a blind eye or give the middle finger to people who say I'm a one issue voting person, because there are people who the issue is big enough for them that may be their only issue that they vote for. If I'm someone and you tell me I done lost 20 members of my family, 20 plus members of my family, there's no such animal as you telling me, well, why are you a one issue voter? That's because that's the only thing I got going on right now. I got 20 people I had to bury. I'm sorry, I got off task. The other group, because you interrupted me while I was going through the two groups.
Fuck them people. I said what the fuck I said. Fuck them people.
The other group that has said that they're not going to endorse Kamala Harris is the International Association of Firefighters. And the Harris Walls teams was very surprised by that. Extremely surprised by that. They tout themselves as being the union, the pro-union, labor workforce side. And the fact that the International Association of Firefighters has not endorsed them, that along with the Teamsters is a big deal. Now, I think a lot of this has everything to do with misogyny coupled with racism. But I don't know. I'll let you speak on it.
So let's be very clear. The International Association of Firefighters also did not endorse Hillary Clinton back in 2015. They didn't. And I think that we really need to acknowledge the fact that it is misogyny. But these are also people that, you know, they have it was very close. It was like within a margin of what, less than 2%, where they decided not to nominate a candidate. To the Teamsters thing, the president of the union leader of Teamsters he's Trump's BFF. He's a well-known Trump supporter. So but then there's also disunity within Teamsters where some people have come out, you know, some organizations have come out and they've endorsed. So I don't want to say it's not monolithic, right? So people are saying that it's a blow, but putting it in context of them declining to endorse Clinton, it's not shocking to me. It's not shocking to me. I mean, that's just where I'm at with it. But fuck them people too.
We can't say fuck everybody.
Yeah, I can.
Where are you going to find these extra votes?
Look, here's the thing, and this is what I'm going to say. Regardless of who wins the presidency, I will be fine. My life will not change substantially, right? And I can acknowledge that privilege that I have. But the reason why I'm passionate about this election, is because the economic policies of Donald Trump, the foreign policies of Donald Trump, is going to be a net blow for America.
Rich people.
I'm not rich, but I will say that I'm in a field where I do
You
well.
rich.
I live below my means, and I've made smart investments. But I can acknowledge my privilege in that, right? So when you have these people playing what I consider oppression Olympics, right? That's what I think. That's what I think. And I'm tired of every election, we got to rely on the Black women bloc to save democracy. Because I feel like Black women look outside of themselves and they're able to see the broader picture. That's why I have beef with single issue voters. You can be passionate about it all day, but that can't be the only thing that you care about. And then how are you really pressing? How are you really pressing the issue? You want a ceasefire, right? That's what you want. But then it's like you're not looking at the issue. The issue is the Israel-Iran proxy war, which has been a thing. So like if you want to educate yourself on really international relations and you want to go back and look at it, it's been a thing. Like and it's way more complex than, oh, we need a ceasefire. Like we actually what we need to do is we need to go back to the table with Iran. That's what the fuck we need to do. But no one is saying that in the uncommitted movement. They're not saying that. Nobody's saying that. You want to fix the symptom and not the disease. That's why I said fuck them people. That's why I said it. Now you may feel differently, but it's fuck them people for me.
As someone who's older and who's been around the block a little while longer.
So a seasoned
let me finish.
A seasoned whore, continue. A seasoned whore. Mm-hmm.
Whatever. I cannot go with that. I cannot wrap my hands around. There was a time when I could feel like you felt and say, well, I'm going to be okay regardless. It doesn't matter. And seeing the exponential downward spiral of our democracy and pivotal rights that took decades for us to get in a fell swoop be gone. Since 2016, not even 10 years yet. I don't know that we can afford that. Listen, I remember what it was. I wasn't there during Jim Crow. I wasn't there to fight for the civil rights movement. Thank God my grandfathers and grandmothers and forefathers and our ancestors fought that fight. But I was here for the movement for LGBTQ plus rights. And I see how simultaneously they are doing everything to remove rights that my grandparents fought for in the civil rights movement and that I had to fight for and had to endure for my rights as an LGBTQ plus person. And I cannot say with a surety that given 4 years of the other side, we won't have a time where we're going back to sodomy laws. And we won't have another time where we as Black people are not seen as full-fledged citizens. That's not off the table. That's not me being hyperbolic. That's not me trying to scare the people. That's me being realistic, because some of the shit that we've had go on in these last 7.5, almost 8 years was inconceivable in my mind of us being at. It was inconceivable. There are things that are going on right now. There's no way in 2016, even with Donald Trump being on the ticket, that you could have told me that more than half of the country was going to rewrite history books to make it say that slavery was a choice. There was no conceivable way of me thinking that. There was no way for me to conceive that in the Bible Belt, in states all across the South, you have children that go to a elementary school, middle school, and college, and they're having resources to help them with their mental health or to help them understand who they are, blocked from them. These things are blocked. You're not even allowed to ask the question, what's going on with my body, for a pubescent child. It was inconceivable for me. A lot of the things that we have going on, I did, when 9/11 happened, when they talked about the failure of the country was the failure of imagination. Like, we just didn't imagine that something like that could happen to the United States. I think sometimes when we think about these things, we have on the left, we have this failure to imagine that some of the things that we take for granted, it can be wiped away. It so easily be wiped away. I lived through sodomy laws. I know what that was like. I remember being afraid to walk home because you might get gay bashed if you twist it the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? And I think that when we look at what's going on, that's why I get so emboldened and so impassioned about it, and that's why I try to look at all of the issues where we could lose chunks of votes or blocks of the citizenship that may say, well, fuck that shit, I ain't gonna vote. Because we know also that I also didn't imagine that they would start passing laws that said they would take the rights from the voting electorate and say that if it's too close in all of these states, we're going to leave it up to the legislatures to decide how we're going to go with the electoral college votes. And that's what's happening in a lot of states right now. So we could be going full-fledged third world country. So for me,
but it's already that for us. It's already that for us.
If I have to appease certain people who I normally wouldn't give a damn about, but if I got to go and appease these people so they can bring their ass out and do what they need to do, because they have set it up, we're not going to be able to sit and relax on, well, if we go out, black women go out and vote, black men go out and vote, we should be good, da-da-da-da-da. They've shown that they've already changed the game after last election. They said they're never going to lose another election if they can help it. So I just, unfortunately, some of us who know better have to think holistically for the people who think singular issue voting. Or that video we put in the members only chat where you had the stupid people at the little corner store talking about, yeah, I'm voting for Donald Trump, because just the most insane thing. Now, I don't think a lot of those people are going to vote anyway, but you have a lot of people that are going to vote that just think this insanity. I'm sorry, I got passionate about that. Sir, I get caught in these tangents. I'm sorry.
No, it's just I think that here's why I feel the way that I feel. And I'm just looking at this from a logical lens, right? All of the rights that we were granted during the civil rights movement, the Supreme Court has slowly dismantled over time. Where, to me, I could not imagine that de jure and de facto things could come back into play because the Supreme Court has pivoted so hard to states' rights, to the point where they're just ignoring the Constitution, which, whatever, originalist interpretations, what have you. But our voting rights are always under attack. Us specifically. We've been under attack since we've been here. So I just find it exhausting emotionally to have to cater to someone else's emotions about something that's now impacting them when they've been complicit and they've been silent in the oppression of others. Now, we be getting up and standing for everybody with these movements. But when it's time for us to have some backing from quote unquote allies, where the fuck are they at? And that's not to say that I don't care about ending the violence that's going on, because I do feel like what Israel is doing is illegal as fuck. I've been on record saying that. I think that we are wrong to just unabashedly give them money. And I think that there's conditions to everything that we do. We need to start tightening the screws on them. If you want to act crazy, you won't do it with our support. You won't do it with our money. There's ways that we can influence that. I absolutely believe that. But people don't give a fuck about me. So why should I give a fuck about other people? Because this whole experiment that we call democracy, I think we have to look at it through a historical lens where there have been authoritarian movements. This is not unique to America. It's going on in Europe right now. Because they're scapegoating a certain portion of the population where they are to blame for all the ailments that society has. And with the constant attacks on education that have finally been super successful, and I would say in the past 20 years, they've been very successful. They played the long game by attacking education. Okay, they did. They're winning. They're winning the culture war. But these people have to realize, if you want any semblance of a fucking functional government, you have one choice. Does that suck? Yes, it does. But we don't have a parliamentary system in America. It's two fucking parties. Pick your poison. What is the least terrible option for you? Black people have had to do this since we've been here. You're going to have to get along with it too. Being a single issue voter is such a sign of fucking privilege. I've said it. It's a sign of privilege. But like I said before, I'll be fine. It'll suck in some other ways, but I'll be fine. Like, Black people are resilient. We've had to be. But it's everybody else I'm concerned with. Because you see all the crying when they attack reproductive rights, when they attack gay rights. They've been attacking us. This is just another Tuesday for me. So maybe I'm cavalier, maybe I'm cold, but like, we don't be having no allies when we have to fight for shit. I can still advocate for a humanitarian solution, which I think is a two-state solution. I do think we need a ceasefire. I do believe those things, but I don't believe that the uncommitted movement, I like their, I would say their intention. I do like their intention. Moving the DNC and our candidate further to the left on this issue, I do agree with that. But the way in which they're doing it, nah.
Here's my last thing that I'll say about it. I applaud them on the way that they're doing it, because I remember whenever we've protested, whenever we've spoken out, similarly, people have had a problem with the way that we've done it, or had a problem with the way that we have went about it. And like I said, that it's not a problem for me to vote on a single issue. Okay, it's really not a problem for me if you vote on a single issue, because one might say there might have been a time where we were only voting for civil rights issues. You know what I'm saying? Or we were that happens. I have no problem with doing that. I also have no problem if what they're doing disturbs the norm and gets people out of their comfort zone, because that's the whole purpose of protesting. That's the whole purpose of a movement. You getting people to see you, because otherwise, if you're not making any noise, if you're not doing anything that's going to get their attention, they're damn sure not going to pay you any mind, and your issue never gets addressed. So I don't want to shun them. Like I said in the beginning, I feel that most in the uncommitted movement are going to end up voting for Kamala Harris. And I don't disrespect their intelligence enough to think that they're only going to vote based on one issue. That might be the loudest issue that they're speaking on. That might be the issue that gets the most press from them. But they even acknowledge that Donald Trump would be a worst case scenario for them and their movement. But that doesn't mean that I got to give full-throated support to Kamala Harris if she's not speaking to my cause either. I might end up voting for her, but that doesn't mean I need to be, oh yes, Kamala, when I know she's antithetical to what I need to get done. That's where I'm at on that. We have one more story, sir. One more topic. In the great state of Texas, which you love so much.
There's other things I could say, but I'm going to leave it alone. There's other things I could say. But I also think that we need to look at social media, El Teddy, when we look back to 2016, when we look back to 2020, when we look at which countries were involved in stirring up and stoking political divisions in this country, I think that people need to be very, very, very aware that there is still a campaign going on.
Okay.
And people need to look at the big three: Russia, Iran, China. Mind you, China just hacked AT&T and Verizon, and they had access to the wiretapping technologies of AT&T and Verizon.
And they also got access to just about every phone number in these yet to be United States of America.
But I just think that international politics is very complex. It's very complicated.
It is.
And there is no simple solution. And I think that it shows some naivete. I'm not insulting their intelligence, but it really does show some naivete that we think we can fix something that has been going on for over 2,000 damn years. It's religious. I hate to say it that way, but it's religious.
I'm going to say I don't trust the media enough for them to have the depth to really.
They don't have the range.
Yeah, the media doesn't have the depth or range to even probably fully ask the question. I think that given the right approach, you probably would see a much larger scale attack on it, where it doesn't seem as surface level as the media tries to make it with them, or it doesn't make it seem like it's just a one issue situation, or it doesn't make it seem like they're ill-informed of all of the intimate details and nuances of what's going on over there.
Now, the leaders, I think, they're very highly intelligent, but it's not like the leaders of the movement that I'm concerned with. It's the people that follow behind. And if you're not as educated, it's not very.
Isn't that with every movement, though?
No, I wouldn't say every movement, no. I just think that when we look at international relations, there's so much more that's at stake. And I think the only reason we haven't had a World War III yet is because calmer minds have always won out. We haven't had outwardly bellicose people in positions of power. But with Benjamin Netanyahu doing whatever the fuck he want to do over there, it's a concern. And I think that, to be quite frank, Vice President Harris is weak on foreign policy, but Trump is weak as fuck on foreign policy. I don't think that either of these people are my ideal candidates. but this is the world that we live in. Like when you look at other movements that don't necessarily have an impact, like the reproductive right movement. I mean, how much more intimate knowledge do you need to have other than it's my body? My doctor and I should consult with each other. I need to make the best decision for me. Right? How much information do you need about civil rights? I should be treated like every other citizen. There should not be systemic barriers that prevent me from pursuing my life as I see fit in America. How much intimate knowledge do you need of something like that versus like foreign policy? Because people can't even talk about what we did when we came to the table with Iran during the Obama administration. People don't know the particular details of that. They don't know the nuances of that. And to be honest, if we're really going to solve this, we're going to have to get multiple people at the table. Multiple people. Multiple countries are going to have to get involved in the mix. And we have to make...
The problem is we have been getting multiple countries in the mix, but we give full-throated support to a fucking white supremacist in Benjamin Netanyahu who wants no parts of trying to negotiate in good faith, and we end up where we are. Let's just be clear.
This is
We're
his
giving
last
full backing to someone who is not negotiating in good faith.
So Republicans, but
anyway, we've been on here almost 2 hours. We are not going to get to that last topic. It's fine. We'll save it.
I feel like I like when we let the debate be a little bit more organic. I like this.
I got something for you to like.
Here we go. You're going to be just like everybody else. Y'all talk all that hot shit. But when it come time to do the do, y'all go tapping out. Oh, I can't. I'm tired. I don't want to hear all that shit. You sold this dream behind closed doors.
I haven't sold anything.
We know what you be selling.
You said you coming to blow backs out.
That's what I do.
They call me a size queen.
And a seasoned whore.
So
seasoned.
I hope you coming equipped to blow this good back out.
I haven't had any complaints about size or girth.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we've had a great time since we've been here. The topic, Ronald, was about Ken Paxton of Texas saying that 450,000 registered voters in Texas have the federal government needs to give them citizenship information because they're questioning the citizenship of 450,000 voters in the great state of Texas.
How is Ken Paxton still in office?
We don't even have the time to unpack that. Well, racism, let's be clear. There's your short answer.
Stay prayed up. That's all I can say about the damn election. Stay prayed up.
Anyway, you have anything to say to the people?
Don't lose yourself to despair. The media is gonna cover things that are disturbing, conflict driven, because it drives engagement. Do your own research. That's all I got.
Okay. I don't have nothing. I'm tired, y'all. I got a lot to handle, y'all. I don't have nothing. I'm Whitney Houston. I have a long night ahead of me.
A long night of hooking or what?
I wish. I got to handle this stuff back home. Anyway, we are here. That concludes another episode of Red, Blue, and Black. We'll be back next week with Kamz and yours truly. And as we say around these parts, whether the country is red or blue, we will always be black,
Black.
and we will be here for you, black. So that's all we got for y'all. Until next time, thank y'all for coming. Y'all drive safely. We out of here. I need